Hello, my name is Constantine, and thank you for joining me for another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. Today we're painting the first page of the new watercolor coloring book that I'm making. It's the cute dogs theme. This first one is a French bulldog, and basically, if you purchased it from me, thank you. I really appreciate you. I make everything by hand through the use of lithographs. And if you are just wanting to join in and paint with us, just pause the image, draw it out, and then continue painting with us. And let's get over to the drawing table. So this is the image, and it's a fairly simple, cute little dog. Should be very quick and easy. I always recommend having a rag, just so that if you need it, it comes in very handy. Just a piece of scrap paper. It can be any paper. It doesn't have to be watercolor paper. And just a dish, preferably like a porcelain dish, something that you can wash off very easily. If you bought the palette from me, this is the palette that I'm using. These are the colors, and I'm going to stop carrying this brush just because it's becoming really difficult to find suppliers, and making sure that I have consistent supply of it to sell with the palettes. So what I'm going to be using for this one is I'm just going to be using some very cheap just all-purpose use brushes that I picked up from Walmart. I think these came like 30 in a pack. It's like a variety pack, so each brush is about 16 or 17 cents, so very affordable. Should not cause anybody any problems. And basically the thing that I'm aiming to show here is that you can really use any brush, as long as you're comfortable with the techniques. It's perfectly fine. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Oh, I also have a jar of water on this side here. So this dog is tan colored. It has a kind of like a very nice tan tone. This spot is white, and then this part going down here, that's all white. It's kind of like tan here, and then all around here, and this little spot is white, and here in front of the chest is white. So yeah, basically we'll go ahead and we'll get some brown, and just mix that in. Excuse me if I sniffle a little bit, my allergies have been killing me. Okay, so we have some brown and some yellow. And mix that in. And get our scrap piece of paper here. That looks pretty much exactly like the color that we want. I am going to get a little more water. This is just the initial flat wash. I'm just going to go right in, just like that. And cover all the parts over here. I'm going up here, get some more. And just like that. Pretty straightforward. We're just filling in inside the lines, and honestly, if you go outside the line a little bit, it's not that big a deal, kind of like I did over here. And actually, some people do that on purpose to make it look more expressive. Maybe kind of like get some water, maybe just do like something like that, maybe some splatters. Just add it here and there. And then grab some more of the tan color and add it for the face. I'm going to leave a little bit just light right there, just some show the paper, just because I like how the little eyebrow is flaring up right there. It gives it more character. But you can honestly render the colors however you want. Okay. I got a little bit in the eye. That's okay, because it's a very light color. Normally I would go in and try to correct that, but because it's such a light color and it'll dry even lighter, it's not that big of a deal. And then go in here. And rinse my brush. Next, we're going to mix the pink tone for the inner ear skin. So we'll do that by getting a little bit of red, just a little bit, some white, some burgundy, some more white, a little more burgundy, more white, a little bit of yellow, and some more brown, some more red. Okay, that's almost there. A little bit of white, a little bit water. Get that in. That's looking pretty close to what we need. And needs a little more red. Let's see. That's about what we want. So we just do another flat wash just inside of the ear, both sides. We do the other one right here. Okay. Rinse off my brush and then grab the black color right there. Grab a little bit of brown and add a little bit of dark blue. A little more. Get some water. Soften up some of the dark blue. There we go. And what we're mixing here is the shadow for where the puppy is standing. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to connect these. Oh, by the way, the light source is coming from up here going down like this. So what we'll do is we'll connect these like this. And then just like that. And then running up like this. And then also going forward like this. Kind of like where the head is. And just, I'm smearing it over on purpose a little bit. You know how shadows fade out the further out they go? That's basically what we're doing here. Just like that. Okay. And rinse my brush. Actually, this little edge right here needs a little attention. I'm just going to add a little more right there. Like that. There we go. And rinse my brush. Dry it off. Maybe pick some of that up. There we go. And dry it off again. Rinse it. So far, so good. And the next part will be for us to add some shades to the tan color of the dog. So we'll grab some brown, a little bit of yellow. We're actually going to grab a little bit of burgundy. and just a very small hint of the green, just a little bit. There we go. I don't really like how that turned out, so what we'll do is we'll add more brown. Add a little more brown. A little burgundy. Let me see something. Get our trusty scrap piece of paper. That actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna get a little bit of water, kind of dilute here some towards the edge. So here where there's more water, it's more transparent, so the color isn't as intense. Here where it's more pigment, it comes off much darker and much more vibrant. So we will start by grabbing some of where the more diluted pigment is, and we'll start by, we're gonna block this leg in completely. Maybe leave the little toe here a little bit in light, like that. And maybe just a little bit of a suggestion of a highlight on the outer part on the left side. Okay, so that's good. And then we will go right here, like that. A little bit over here. And then just where the toes are, kind of like covered in shadow. And then a little bit like this. Rinse off your brush, dry it off, and then just kind of pick up some of that. Make it fade in a little bit. Just like that. Perfect. We'll rinse off our brush. And then get some more. We're going a little darker this time, where there's more pigment. And then right here, cover this whole area. Like that. And then going down like this. Add a little bit of a shape to the shadow so that you can tell that there's some ligaments here and muscles in the forearm of the dog, because it helps make it look more realistic, and it looks better when you add some form to the shadows. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just add some right there. Okay, I'm gonna dry off my brush and then do the same here with this shadow. Just kind of like dilute it like that. Perfect. I like to have a little bit of variation between hard-edged shadows and some fading shadows. It makes the whole thing look a lot more interesting. Okay, let's keep going here. And then grab some more. And then this leg, color it in. We'll leave a little bit of a highlight on the outside and then on the inside as well. So it's mostly just kind of like going in like that. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just kind of let the water kind of flow, and if it goes a little stray from where you want it to, that's okay. And then we have to cover all of this. Cover in for the shape of the face. And then I'm gonna cover it like that. A little shadow here. A little shadow for where the muzzle is protruding. Kind of like that. I'm gonna rinse off my brush, dry it off, and then do the same thing with the edge right here. And right here. Right here. Not everywhere, but we want to show that some variation. There are some hard planes, some soft planes on the face of the dog, so it's it's okay to show variation. Right here. Just like that. And then over here for the ear. And over here to help define some of the form of the ear. And over here, just like that. Maybe a little bit right there, give some more shape. Okay, rinse off my brush, soften up, and I dried it off as well. Soften up just a little bit right there, that edge, and that's it. Rinse that off, and dry off the brush. Let me take a look at it. Okay, so far so good. Next, we will add some shadow here where on the inside of the ears. We'll do that by grabbing some of the burgundy, adding it in here, and adding just a little bit of the brown, a little more, and just adding it in like that. Getting a little bit more water, and that's pretty good. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll put that in right there. And also right here. Now we're gonna rinse off our brush, dry it off on our rag, and then just go in, same thing, soften up the edge. You don't have to do it all the way through, but just a little bit to help soften it up, especially on the right ear, or I guess the left ear, right if you're looking at the face, just like that. Okay, next we will be filling in some more shadow here in front of the, well, actually, you know, no, what we'll do first is we'll switch over to our smaller brush. Actually, I can do it with the same brush. You don't even have to switch. We can do the same brush. We can still get, you could get a good point on that. I know it's a cheap brush, but you can still get a good point on it. So the way we'll do it is we'll grab a little bit of the brown all by itself. We're not going to add any other color into it. And let's see, I'm just going to mark. Yeah, that looks right. So what we'll do is we'll color in the eye, color in the whole, well, leave the little highlight. Don't color in the highlight. Be careful. Be cognizant of where the highlight is so that you don't color it in. Trying to make sure that it's not blocking the camera, that my hand's not blocking the camera. The little pupil, we will color in black, but first we have to do the base. Okay, so that's fine. Dry off my brush, and then while that's drying, actually I'm gonna just dab this a little bit. I don't want it to look too dark. When it dries it'll look better, but I don't want it to look too dark. And then we're just gonna get a little bit of black and then kind of work it in here. And just basically cover up the nose. As you can tell, it's not very dark. It's just kind of like a gray base that we're covering in, basically. I'm gonna let that dry. And then while these things are drying, we will get a little more brown, add it in here where we have the skin tone. We're just gonna do some darker shadows for the skin, or the fur, I should say. Let me see how that looks on the scrap paper. It looks okay, but I want it a little darker. So I'm actually just gonna go ahead and get a little bit of the dark blue. A little bit of water, it got too dry here. Get a little more brown. A little more brown. And then test it out again. Yeah, that's good. Now we can go in here, and in the back leg up here we'll add more, kind of define this edge more. And then we're not going to go all the way through, but we are going to add some definition, just like that. Down here where the paw is stepping on the floor, and add a little more shadow, just like that. Same for right here where there's a definition of the tendon, and then down here where it's a little more closer or away from the light, and down where it's making a connection with the floor, just like that. Okay, well, that looks good. And then over here a little bit to define the edge a little more, not too much. Don't want to cover up all the shadow that we laid in previously. We're just adding definition. That's the idea. Get a little more, like that. And same right under here, just a little more on the side. And then outline where it's stepping, like that. I'm gonna dry off my brush and then pick up some of this, like that, with the edge, kind of softening it up. Add a little bit on the side and pick a little bit up, and add a little bit on this side. Rinse off my brush, dry it off, and then maybe soften that edge right there, and take a look at it. So far so good. I'm just gonna dry off my brush and kind of sculpt the edge, or I should say the tip of the brush. If you look at it carefully, you can tell basically as you're making a motion, you can kind of sculpt the edge of the brush, which can help you get very, very fine detail. This is a pretty large brush. I would say this is the perfect size brush for this size painting, and you can get some variability between large strokes and very fine detail. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab some more of this dark pigment here, darker color, and then we will kind of outline the edge just like that, and on both sides of the mouth of the dog. And we'll also give a little more outline down here, like that. Up here, a little outline for the fold, and another one right there, and underneath the eye. And now, maybe over here a little bit too. And just rinse off our brush, dry it off, and soften up the edge. Right in here, like that. Okay. It's looking pretty good. Rinse off my brush again. And then while that's drying off all in here, we will go in and get a little bit, I'm gonna get a little bit of water and get a little bit, just dab a little bit into the black. Okay. Now that we have this color, we're just gonna do a little outline for where the shadow of the nose would be. Going in like this. On the side. Just kind of going in slowly. Okay. Now remember, this does, rinse it off, this does dry lighter. When it dries, it will look much lighter. And the next thing we can do is shape our brush again. Well, basically, you use your rag, just kind of shape the, as you're drying it off, you're just kind of shaping it into a nice point. Just dip it right into the, black, and then we can, let's see, kind of same thing as you're drying it, kind of just turn the brush. Okay, and we have some fine detail. Get a little more, if you have a little more pigment on the brush, it'll help when you're kind of rotating it like this, it'll help get better lines. So that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna go right in for the pupil and then just call it that black, still avoiding the highlight. That's one. And just go slowly. It's a little hard for me because I have distance that I have to keep, so I'm not poking my head in front of the camera, but I think that looks pretty good. And we're almost done here. So the last part that we will do is we'll get some of this black right here and some of this brown and mix them together. And we're trying to make a shadow color. So this part is completely white, but it wouldn't be the case if the light is coming from here. We need to put some shadow on it. And we can do so. Get a little more water. And a little bit of blue, just a little bit of the dark blue. A little more. Okay. I'm going to test my shadow color here. I need to make it a little more brown, just a little more brown. And let's see. Perfect. That looks perfect. And so what we'll do with that is we'll go ahead and put that just straight on top here, but it's not, we're doing a flat wash, but we're going to give it a little bit of a texture just to show that there's fur. The dog has some fur here. Just like that. And then we will also use that to put another layer going down this way, like that, a little bit like that, and then on the toes, maybe a little bit right here to show there's an indent for where the back muscles are, and then going in front right here. Okay, a little more underneath the muzzle. Like that. Underneath the chin. Right underneath here. Okay. Like that. Okay, let's take a look at it. Probably a little more right here, show that it's covered in darkness. And like that. A little bit for the brow ridge. A little bit right there. And then also go over this leg entirely. Like that. And then here in the front of this leg. And then also the toes. Okay. Maybe add a little bit of variation here for the fur. And let's see. And one last part. We're pretty much done. Just one very last part. I'm gonna dry off my brush and sculpt that out. Get a little bit of black and just add it right here for the nostrils. And rinse off our brush, and I think we're done. Let me look at it again. Yep, we are done. And when I say let me look at it, what I mean is just step back from it, because you can get a better idea of how the image looks. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay, so that was the first page of the Cute Dog watercolor coloring book. It'll be in the description if you're interested. If you have any questions, let me know. And once you're done coloring it or making the image, tag me or share it with me. I'm really interested to see what it looks like. Now, you don't have to use the same paint or the same brush as I did. Any paint or brush will work on this paper. I use high quality paper. So I'm interested to see what people come up with. And we'll see you next time.